Right, so by now we all know Sonic's main game design issue is that they no make speed. But there's another problem that's loomed large over the series for a longer time than that. Longer than any of us have been alive. Even before the game has transcended the anime event horizon. That being tone. See, despite the sheer number of creative forces that have been placed in charge of Sonic media over the years, there seems to be a consistent tendency to gravitate the series towards weird melodrama and narrative-heavy backstory. That's if they can stick to a tone for much time at all. You had the wacky, child-friendly, kaleidoscopic hallucinosis of Sonic Heroes, followed by the carcinogenic Chunibyo of the Shadow spin-off. After Sonic 06, it seems like someone decided it was time to retreat from all the soap opera shit, so they dabbled for a while with defiling classic literature, then on to epic serialized space adventures, and finally to spending a goodly number of years floundering about in a morass of comfortable Saturday morning cartoon-style funny laughs. Contrast all the semiotic flailing with how later-era Mario games managed to maintain a consistent tone and presentation even as each new iteration puts a unique spin on the concept, unlike Sonic, which got rid of spinning entirely. Sonic has probably had the most prolonged and pronounced identity crisis of any media franchise in history. I mean, no one seems to know what the fuck is going on anymore. But what's so weird about Sonic is the way it manages to stay on the fringes of cultural relevance even through the bad and also the very bad. I mean, there aren't many other franchises that provoke so much of a response with their dwindling quality. Sonic is a meme, a VTuber, a meme, several TV shows, an exploding parade balloon, and all this and more despite being a concept scarcely capable of conveying a succession of cogent ideas, let alone anything approaching a coherent plot. Notably, those recent live-action movies actually do a pretty good job of recontextualizing the premise into a coherent story without being melodramatic, tonally inconsistent, or just fucking weird. And I was really braced for those movies to be meme fuel. So you can kind of plot out the nature of game storytelling on a two-axis chart. You've got the amount of storytelling versus the amount of actual plot. A game like Mario sits comfortably in the bottom left quadrant because there isn't much in the way of dialogue or cutscenes because there simply isn't much story information to convey. On the extreme other end are games like Final Fantasy and Yakuza where the cutscenes outnumber actual gameplay by a ratio of 5,000 to 1. Sonic games should probably be aiming for that same bottom left quadrant, but they more often find themselves in the unenviable bottom right quadrant, with still barely anything in the way of a story and yet a huge amount of time dedicated to telling that story, when they seem disinterested utterly in even sustaining what little fictional integrity they managed to hew out of this pallid alabaster nightmare. How the fuck Tails gonna get an award at City Hall? The whole fucking city was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. How'd they forget about that? They also forgot they blew up the moon. Fortunately, since the sad realization that there's more money to be made on Skinnerbox cell phone horseshit than actual games nowadays, they've at least been incentivized to reduce the torrent of inconsistent ideas, leaving some breathing room for new ideas to dwell a bit longer in a realm of unspoiled potential. This might mean that the new open-world Sonic game will be good, but my expectations for it are going to remain stolidly Vishnu basement depth until I see otherwise. Aside from basing the game around a mechanic rather than a goofy gimmick or a cursed-ass fanfiction, they need to bring back the long-missing sense of progression and discovery. Remember the shockingly well-articulated words of Egoraptor. The more specific you get about situations analogous to reality, the more you need to stipulate on. The big challenge once you go 3D is that it becomes harder to fall back on insinuated scale and action like 2D games often get to do. There's basically an accepted delineation between the game mechanic part of the game and what you would call the flavor text part of the game. This is harder to pull off in 3D. You end up with weird situations where giant loops are built directly into skyscrapers, you see rings floating on top of a police car in a place that looks like San Francisco, and your brain starts to go ischemic. You find yourself unable to resist asking such previously unpondered questions as, who puts all these rings here? You lose all sense of equilibrium as you descend into an existential freefall, and a creeping terror places your heart in its icy grip as it dawns on you that you too one day must die. Basically, they should mostly let the game do the talking. Most of the classic Sonic lore was just discoverable by surpassing game objectives. Get good enough at speedrunning levels and you can find the Emerald bonus games. Get good enough at those and you can break the game in a fun way with Super Sonic. What was originally just bonus content became the basis for all kinds of backstory and sequels. You got a simple premise with some world building that people got really invested in because they uncovered it through their own Herculean efforts, not from having paragraph upon paragraph of dispensable dialogue lectured at them. Does this mean Sonic can never be high-fidelity 3D? I don't know. What I do know is they gotta make a Big the Cat Fishing spinoff for Switch, okay? That is how they resurrect the series. I'm not joking. Make it happen. Listen to the boy. Thank you for listening to me talk about Sonic. You should watch my other treatise on Sonic. And you can watch me stream games like Omori and Animal Crossing sometimes as well. I'm content man. I'm big content man.